Well, let's just get into it now. So I mentioned before we got on air that I just haven't been sleeping well, right? Like I'm not, you know me, I'm pretty much like this all the time. Like I'm not very excitable. I like to have fun, and there's definitely a sillier, looser side of me, but I'm pretty much like this. So I don't carry my stress in ways that some other folks do.
Mm.
But what tends to happen with me when I start to get overwhelmed, even before I realize it, it's always subconsciously where like I'm typically able to fall asleep, but then like I'm when I'm up, like I run to the bathroom when the kids get up, and then my minds are like it's just going, and I
Mhm.
can't quiet it down enough to sort of like get back. It's like we talk about the kids, we talk about like them self-soothing, right? It's
Mhm.
like they got to learn to put themselves back to sleep. Now it's me. It's 3:30 in the morning. I'm thinking about my day, my week ahead, right?
Mhm.
And I can't self-soothe. So
Mhm.
like, is that common? Like, do you know like what should I be doing, Asia?
I think it's depending on the person and their experiences or their stress. It can be connected in lots of different ways. It may not necessarily mean that you're unable to self-soothe. It might also there could be other different aspects that are connected to it. Are the things that are around us, the things that makes our mind continue to go, us not being able to quiet down. Maybe the TV's on, like there could be lots of different things. But then also there's this um it could also there could be aspects of it that could also be connected to our food and what we're consuming too. So, and that doesn't mean like, oh, I have an upset stomach and so I can't sleep, but just like it, we're our food is for nourishing our body, and so sometimes we put things that aren't necessarily nourishment
Yeah,
to our body. So it can impact our sleeping habits.
that makes sense.
Um, and then if we're underneath a significant amount of stress, we also might have that as well play a part. So I can't my body is working overtime in other aspects to make sure that I'm functioning well, and which is then impacting my sleep. So there could be lots of different factors
Yeah.
that could be playing into it, and sometimes it could be just related to like an acute stressor, like it's Christmas time and I got all this stuff I got to do, and now
Yeah.
I got to think about all these different things and people coming over and making sure people are safe, and like or not coming over and then having to deal with telling my family you can't show up, and like there's so many different aspects of just like an acute stress that can also impact our sleeping habits too. So there's lots of factors
Yeah.
that can play into it. Um, but one thing that we do know is that we do need adequate sleep to be able to function well. So um, so that's one of the things that gets impacted really easily.
Mm. It's funny. Like I noticed that when I'm able, because many times it takes a few days where I realize, man, I haven't really slept very well, but it's all subconscious. Like, and then consciously, I haven't even realized I was like trying to process all of these things.
Hmm.
And then typically when I start to write things out, I start to like relax, and I have like I'm sort of more at ease. Just I
Hmm.
think it's just organizing my thoughts maybe, and just kind of just trying to identify whatever those stressors are.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because sometimes we're so bogged down with so much stuff that's happening that we don't want to deal. But then that doesn't help us with our sleep because our brain is still going.
Yeah.
So sometimes being able to clear our minds, be able to actually dealing with or tackling the stuff that is consuming us, kind of helps relieve some of that brain space
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
overworked.
Well, I should probably start writing then. Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. That's good. You talked about trauma, um, anxiety. I've read and I've mentioned on my pod a handful of times like that the suicide rate since this pandemic is increased like over 200%. Like, are those numbers the same, like around the same numbers that you've like stayed in front of or like research? And then like, what's the best way for people to try to cope with the isolation, with all of the uncertainty, whether it be their jobs, their health, family, etc.?
Yeah, I think that this COVID has brought on um, lots of things that no one prepared for. There's no way that anyone can prepare for a pandemic. But one of the things that make it really hard is isolation. That's really does a lot. And one thing with the pandemic is that we can't connect the way that we typically would because we don't want to infect someone or get infected. So we're hopefully doing our due diligence to keep number or get the numbers to go down. And so with that, um that impacts how we're starting to s- do we're not we don't the things that we have that might have been our coping mechanisms might not be easily accessible to us anymore, and so we have to find new ways that are still healthy to then um cope. But for sometimes that's even more challenging. Um so I think that when we're in isolation, one although it can feel like work, one of the 2 things that I can think of, that are beneficial is being very intentional about the, interactions that we have with other people when we do have them, and also creating those moments virtually as well. So even though I might live by myself, and be spending a whole lot of time in isolation, that I am being intentional about engaging with other people on the phone or Zoom or Google Meets, like whatever platform I have, or
Yeah,
iPhone, and still being able to connect with people, even though it's not a physical connection.
sure.
Um, and then also, and this is a little bit more challenging being in Michigan, but going outside, getting fresh air, because we might be in a home or an apartment where we're just getting that centralized unnatural air. And so being outside, taking a walk, or even just walk the parking lot or walk around the block just once, or walk from one house, the next door neighbor's house and back home, outside on the sidewalk, like just getting yourself out, and breathing in really good air, is beneficial to your body. If we're in another state where it might be warmer, you might be able to be outside a little bit longer than here, but still getting yourself out there. And then also connecting, going back to that virtual connection, is even connecting. That a benefit of the virtual, that we have access to the virtual, is that we can connect to more people. So connecting to groups
Mm.
in different ways. So, maybe it is a workout group, that I can join, or there's, an art class that's online that I can join. So I'm still connected with other people, even though it's virtually and I'm doing something. But trying our best to be intentional about ex the connections that we're trying to make.
Yeah, no, that's good.